Hey dads, welcome to Father Friend, a podcast for dads who want to lean in, lead well, and love big. I'm Dr. Mike Ayers. So here's what happened recently. My wife and I were at our favorite burger place here in town. We're sitting outside on the patio and there's this little fountain out back with koi fish swimming in it. And right there in front of the fountain is a pretty large sign that says, "Please don't put anything in the water." Yes, this means you too, kid. So we're eating our burgers and this boy walks up, maybe 7 or 8 years old enough to read, definitely old enough to understand what the sign means. And what does he do? He walks right up to that fountain, sticks both hands in and starts splashing around like it's his own personal wading pool, just going to town on it. And here's the thing. His parents were sitting maybe 10 feet away. They knew what he was doing, but did nothing in response. Not a word, not even really a glance in his direction. They're just sitting there eating, looking at their phones, completely tuned out. My wife and I made eye contact, and I could see it on her face. The same thing I was thinking. Really? Now, let me tell you about another time. I was at a different restaurant with a friend, and we got seated right behind this dad and his daughter. She was probably 6 or 7, and she kept trying to talk with her dad. And you know what? The only time he spoke to her was when she started reaching for something, and he snapped at her, thinking that she was going to spill it. He told her to be more careful. That was it. The rest of the meal, phone in his hand, eyes down, shoveling food in his mouth. And this little girl kept trying. She'd look at him, try to say something, and nothing. And at one point, she turned around and looked at me. You could tell she just wanted some attention. It was actually pretty sad to watch. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Mike, neglect is a strong word. But yeah, I'm using it here intentionally. Because here's what I'm seeing more and more. We're neglecting our kids without even realizing it. We're not doing it on purpose. We're not trying to be bad parents, but we're so distracted, so pulled in every direction that we're missing what's right in front of us. And look, this time of year, it gets even worse. We're coming up on the Christmas season. And while it should be this great time with our kids, it often becomes one of the most distracted seasons in life. Work gets busy trying to close out the year. Shopping lists get longer. There are parties and programs and all the things that we're supposed to fit into the schedule. So today, I want to talk about 5 common ways that we as parents, and especially as dads, neglect our kids. And I want to be really practical about how we can do better. Here's the first way we get distracted: devices. This is probably the most obvious one, right? And it's definitely one of the most common. We've got our eyes glued to the screen in our hands instead of the kids right in front of us. And I'm not talking about the occasional quick text or checking directions. I'm talking about being more present to what's happening on our phones than what's happening in our homes. You've heard about distracted driving. Well, we've got distracted parenting going on too. And during the holidays, it gets even worse. Here's what I've noticed. We convince ourselves that we're being present because we're physically there. We're in the room. We showed up to the concert. We're at the dinner table. But presence isn't just about location, it's about attention. Your kids don't want you in the same room with your face in your phone. They want your eyes, your attention. The solution here is simple, but it's not easy. Put the device down. During family time, create device-free zones. When you're decorating the tree, phones go in another room. When you're at dinner, phones stay off the table. When you're watching a movie together, resist the urge to scroll. And here's a challenge for you. Count how many pictures you take versus how many moments you just experience without documenting. In this social media culture, we take so many pictures, I think we miss moments while taking them. Now, I'm not saying don't take any photos. Of course, you want to capture memories, but don't let capturing the moment rob you of living in the moment. Here's the second way we don't pay attention: distractions. Now, devices are just one form of distraction, but there are so many others. And here's where it gets tricky because a lot of these distractions aren't inherently bad. I'm talking about hobbies, television shows, sports, that project in the garage you've been working on, your fantasy football league. And during the holidays, add to that shopping, decorating, year-end projects. There's just a lot competing for our attention. Here's the thing. Those aren't bad activities, but the good can often be the enemy of the best. Working on your car isn't wrong. Watching football isn't evil. Having hobbies is healthy. But when these good things start crowding out the better things, When your kids are consistently getting only leftovers after everything else gets your attention, that's when we've got a problem. And let's be honest, it's not just about us being distracted. Sometimes we're the ones handing our kids the distraction. We give them a tablet or turn on a show because it keeps them occupied while we do other things. And look, sometimes that's necessary. I get it. But how often are we using screens to keep our kids busy when we could actually be engaging with them? How many moments are we missing because it's easier to let them zone out on a device than to play a game or have a conversation or just be together? Here's the solution. Be aware and then just say no to the distractions, or at least say, not right now. I love this phrase, prioritize your priorities. Sounds redundant, but think about it. We say everything is a priority, but if everything's a priority, then nothing really is. You've got to actually rank things, which means you pay a price for what you value, and your kids should rank higher than most of the stuff that's currently taking up your time. Saying no now doesn't mean you have to say no forever. It just means you're getting things in the right order. You can watch that show later. You can finish that project next month, but you cannot get this season back with your 7-year-old. You cannot reclaim this weekend when your teenager actually wants to hang out with you. So devices, distractions. Third, the to-do list. Oh man, we can talk about this one because I feel this tension all the time. I always feel like I need to be doing something. We all have these lists, right? Whether it's written down or on an app or just mentally running in the background of our minds. There's a preoccupation with it. And then there's always this pull between getting stuff done and investing in our kids. The to-do list feels so justifiable. I mean, the house needs to be cleaned. The gutters need attention. The gifts aren't going to wrap themselves. The emails need responses. The bills need to be paid. All legitimate, all necessary, and all easily used as excuses to put off time with our kids. Here's what I've learned. The to-do list will never become the done list. There's always something to do. We'll never finish it all. No matter how much you check off today, there will be more items tomorrow. So if you're waiting until the list is finished before you give your kids your full attention, you'll be waiting forever. Now, this speaks directly to those A-type personalities who have long task lists and are perfectionistic and feel like they can't rest until they get everything done. Don't let the tedious tasks steal the important moments from you. I was talking to a dad recently who spent an entire weekend cleaning out his garage because it had been bugging him for months. His kids kept asking him to play, to go to the park, to do something together. They kept coming into the garage. And he kept saying, as soon as I finish this, just give me a little more time. By the time he was done, it was dark. His kids were in bed, and he had chosen organized storage bins over time with his children. Here's my challenge. Look at your to-do list and ask yourself, what actually matters 5 years from now? Will it matter that every decoration was perfectly placed? Or will it matter that you spent an afternoon making cookies with your kids, even if the kitchen was a disaster afterwards? I'm not saying don't do anything on the list. I'm not saying don't let your kids dictate your life to the point where your kids become one more item to check off rather than people to invest in. But be sure and don't make the trade-off, your kids for your to-do list. Here's the fourth way we don't pay attention to our kids, work. Now this one's tough during the holidays because year end is legitimately busy for most people. Companies are trying to hit their numbers. Projects need to be wrapped up. There are deadlines and all the pressure that comes with closing out the year. If you're in ministry, this season is especially difficult. And so what happens? Well, work starts taking over. It eats into evenings. It consumes weekends. You're physically at home, but mentally you're still at the office. You come through the door tired, short-fused, running on empty, and your kids don't just get the leftovers of your time. They get the leftovers of you. They get the exhausted, irritable, checked-out version of dad. The version that's too tired to play, too stressed to be patient, too preoccupied to really listen when they're trying to tell you about their day. Man, I've been there. I remember seasons in pastoral ministry where I came home absolutely spent. And I would give my best energy to other people, teaching, counseling, planning events, and my own family got whatever was left. The solution sounds simple. Leave work at work. But I know it's not always that easy. Sometimes you have legitimate deadlines. Sometimes you have to bring work home. I get it. But here's what you can control. When you're home, Be home. Be present. As best as possible, create boundaries. Don't check work email during dinner. Don't take calls during your daughter's bedtime routine. Don't mentally run through tomorrow's presentation while your son is showing you his Lego creation. And when you do have to work from home, wait for the kid-free moments. Early morning before they wake up, after they go to bed, during nap time if they're little. Don't let work steal the hours when your kids are awake and wanting to be with you. Here's a practical tip. Actually use your vacation days. I know so many dads who have accumulated time off but never take it because they're too busy or nobody else can handle things, or they just want to save it up. Your company will survive without you for a few days. Go ahead and use those days each and every year. Don't put them off, because putting off means putting off your family as well. And here's the fifth way we often neglect our kids: pride. This might be the sneakiest one because we don't always recognize it as neglect. But one of the most common reasons parents neglect their kids is because they're too worried about their image, too concerned about what other people think. You're at the park and your daughter wants you to go down the slide with her, but you're worried about what other parents might think. Your son wants to have a Nerf war in the front yard, but the neighbors are outside. You don't want to seem childish. So we stay on the sidelines. We don't get crazy with our kids. We don't go all out, and our kids feel it. They learn that dad cares more about what strangers think than about having fun with them. Why are we trying to impress people that we don't really even know? Just forget what others think. Does it really matter? Dance with your daughter in the grocery store if that's what she wants. Run through the snow in your front yard with your son, even though the neighbors can see you. Wear the ridiculous reindeer antlers. Sing off key. Play make-believe. Get on the floor. Because here's what matters. 20 years from now, your kids won't remember whether you looked cool to other adults. They'll remember whether you were willing to be fully present with them. They'll remember the dad who chose connection over image. Don't let petty, prideful excuses rob you of memories with your kids that one day you'll wish you'd made. So here's where we land. Our kids are only young for such a short time. Your 5-year-old will never be 5 again. Your teenager might not even be home next year. Your children are not an inconvenience. They're not interruptions to your real life. They are a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So what if we committed to be truly present during this Christmas season? Put down the phones, say no to some of the distractions, let the to-do list wait, set boundaries at work, and forget what others think. That's what your kids really want anyway. Not another toy, not another thing. They want you, fully there, fully engaged, fully present. Don't miss it, Dad. I really hope today has not been about guilt for you, but just a reminder, because if we're not reminded, we all drift. I know you as a dad are doing your very best, and I celebrate that. So take this as just an opportunity to recalibrate and to remember throughout the holiday season what's most important. Thanks for listening today. I'm Dr. Mike Ayers. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with other dads. I'd love to hear from you. Email me at mikea@fatherfriend.net with comments, questions, and your biggest takeaways. For more tools, resources, and real talk on fatherhood, visit fatherfriend.net or follow on social media @ThinkingDads. See you next time.